Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Grab your drinks, find a seat. I'm so pleased to see so many of you here this evening. I'm Patty Iannuzzi. I think I know almost everybody in this room. I'm the Dean of the Libraries, and it's my privilege to welcome you to what we in the libraries consider to be the most fun day of the year, because we get to see the product of all of our efforts as basically epitomized in the excellent work of our young scholars. So thank you for being here to help us celebrate both them and all of the work that all the instructors at the university and in the libraries do to support those young people. About 11 years ago, actually it was just about 11 years ago, I met Lance Calvert when I came to UNLV to interview for this position, for the Dean of the Libraries. He was at the time the chair of the Libraries Advisory Board, and I met him over lunch. And he liked to always say after that he was responsible for my coming to UNLV. He basically told people he hired me. But he wasn't the only reason I came to UNLV, but people like him were a big part of the reason I came to UNLV. The people in the community who support the libraries in this institution. Lance had no affiliation with the university. He was a local business person who just loved higher education, and he wanted to make a difference in the lives of young people. And he felt that the libraries was one of the places that could happen. He told me about an award from his high school back in Missouri that had was named after one of his relatives. And he was really very proud of this award because he said that it had become over the years very prestigious and very competitive, and it was a mark of excellence. And he just thought that was the greatest thing, the greatest honor you could have as a legacy in life, is to have your name associated with that level of excellence. So I told him about a program that we had just done at UC Berkeley. You see, I was going to say UNLV, because I already forgot about that other institution a little further west. We had started this program at UC Berkeley, where we wanted to award, acknowledge, nurture, support, and again, award students in their research process. Not just the product of the research, but the process that they went through in engaging in all the stages of that research life cycle. So I told him about this award, and in 2006, about 1 year later, the Calverts made an extremely generous gift that established the endowment for the Lance and Elena Calvert Award for undergraduate research. So although they're not able to join us tonight, I want to pause so that we could all thank them for their generosity and for their commitment to UNLV. So since 2006, we've acknowledged and celebrated 35 student winners. And since 2010, and I'm going to pick that date because that's when we established a certain platform at UNLV called Digital Scholarship at UNLV. It's an open access repository. I know that's a lot of jargon, but it's basically a place where you put research so that people can search on Google and find that research. And since 2010, we've created a place to post the work of these 23 student winners who we awarded over those 6 years. And I'm showing you a map here that is part of Digital Scholarship at UNLV because it's absolutely remarkable. 147 downloads across the globe in the past week of those 23 papers. And if you look at the numbers at the bottom, since we've entered those 23 papers, we've had 13,485 downloads or views of those student papers. And that's truly remarkable. Just this afternoon, Manuela, who was here supporting one of her colleagues, but she was a previous award winner, I was pointing out to her, Manuela, did you see somebody in Australia downloaded your paper? It's really, really fabulous. So I just wanted to put that slide up there because I think some of you may not even know about this platform, but it's another way that we promote the excellence of our students, especially through this program. So I want to pause and also give a shout out to everybody in the library who contributes to student learning, whether you're a liaison, you're in the instruction department, you're in a back room somewhere working on this database to create this wonderful platform to promote student work. And so let's just pause and thank those people, because I have to, I'm their dean. And now we can continue to say, I want to acknowledge all the people in the room who are educators. Everybody here who's an educator and contributes to student success, raise your hand, because it should be everybody in this room. So thank you. And so today we're here to celebrate our current winners. And I have the distinct pleasure for this to be the first occasion where our new provost is in the library and part of a program. So she gets, the first time she gets a real bio, a real introduction. After this, we'll just say, Dr. Chase. So Dr. Chase is our new Executive Vice President and Provost. I believe she officially started this week, although she's been around for a few weeks, so I think she probably did a long transition period. Dr. Chase is a distinguished scholar in archaeology. She's a member of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and any of you who are academics in the room know the kind of honor that this is. It's a statement for her scholarship and her research. She comes to us from University of Central Florida, where she's been since 1984, so I'm sure they're mourning the fact that she's no longer there. For the past 15 years, actually, she's been an administrator at large. It appears from her CV. She's had a wide array of administrative positions. And most recently, she was the Vice Provost for Academic Program Quality. She has her undergraduate and graduate degrees from Penn. And we're thrilled that she's able to join us, not just at UNLV, but here in the libraries today. Dr. Chase.
Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, this is actually day 4. The other days were visits, and people were a lot nicer to me then. You know, they took me around by the hand and showed me exactly where to go. Today it was, go to the library. So I made it. At any rate, welcome to all of you, and I really am being facetious because people here have been incredibly warm and welcoming every place I have been. I'm a firm believer in undergraduate research. It's a key part of a research university. Research universities are places for discovery. They're the places for creation of new knowledge, what we usually call in academia, research and creative activity. They're places where high quality education is really important, where teaching, learning, and student success are all key, and where the undergraduate experience prepares graduates with the knowledge and skills they need for whatever is next. Whatever they want to do, want to be, whether that's immediate employment, whether it's graduate school, whether it's travel, whether it's service. We know the skills that are important for the success of our students, for our graduates when they leave, again, for employment, for lifelong learning, for engaged citizenship. We know what those things are. Their critical thinking, their teamwork, their communication skills. We also know what makes the greatest difference in student success in the university and after it. And there are things that we call in academia, engaged learning or high impact experiences. And there's no better example of high impact experience than undergraduate research, at least I would argue. As you all know, research isn't easy, but it's impactful and it changes lives. I know it changed mine. I did undergraduate research, and the process of working with a mentor, of doing the actual background research, and following that path made a huge difference for me. I wouldn't have gone on to do graduate school. I wouldn't be standing here in front of you if I had not in some way been involved in undergraduate research. I'm personally committed to it and continue to bring students with my husband to the field in Belize. So our version of undergraduate research is taking students into the middle of the jungle, mosquitoes and snakes and scorpions, and working on a field project. I know that those of you who've won awards today have learned a lot through the process of doing your research, whether it's the ability to work closely with a research mentor, the knowledge of how to define and operationalize a research project and a problem, the capacity to review past research and assess it for relevance, or the ability to know when and how to work together in a team. I'm equally sure that the experiences and skills you develop will serve you well on whatever it is you do next in your lives. And I look forward to seeing what your accomplishments are in the future. So congratulations to the award winners, to all of you who have participated in the things that they've done, and if there are parents here, to parents of these wonderful students for the great things that they've accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Thank you for making the time to come on day 4. So I have another person I want to invite to come to the podium right now. It's Dr. Karl Reiber. Dr. Reiber and I have worked together for many, many years. He's the Senior Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, and I happen to know firsthand that there is no one at the university more committed to student success than Dr. Reiber. We've worked on a lot of different projects together related to student learning, and he always puts students first. So, Dr. Reiber.
Thanks, Patty, for those kind words. So I'm really honored to be standing before you, students, mentors, and parents, because it's really what you're doing on a daily basis that it's driving UNLV forward. And I've been here for 23 years, and this institution has changed radically in that time. And we're moving quite rapidly to become what we call a top-tier institution, Carnegie Research, very high institution. But top-tier actually means more than that. Top-tier is not just about research and PhD production and grant dollars. It's really about having a rising tide floating all boats. And it's about undergraduate education and student success. And it's about you working day and night in your classes, working with your faculty, and at some point in time, you as students decided that you wanted to really take your work beyond the classroom. And that's where you intersect with the library. And I'm sure that many of you have noticed that when you come to the UNLV libraries, they're just not a place that you have books, because the library of the future is a place where people come to work with others, to collaborate, to identify information in various formats, to work with librarians in finding new information, linking that with other bits of information so that you can advance your field. Now, as undergraduates, you're probably thinking, wow, this is just an amazing thing to be engaged in research, and it was fun to work on a project with a faculty member. But what you've done is you've taken that first step. You've used your curiosity to take that first step in your defined discipline to really creating new knowledge. And I don't have a cool map like this behind me, but I would love to have a picture of this that I can hang on my wall. And so the significance of all of these dots here are that the Calvert Award winners have created new knowledge. You've advanced your field. And I would love also to see the dots of those Calvert Award winners who have gone on to publish more and have gone on to become doctors and lawyers and research scientists and CEOs, et cetera. And I'm sure you would just cover the map with dots. But where you start is in the library and with your faculty mentor, looking up literature, getting a good background on your interest, then linking bits of information up so that you can create new knowledge. And that's what you've done, and that's why you're here, is that you have really done an amazing job to create new knowledge, and that's that first step. And so first I want to say congratulations to the award winners. Second, I want to have the award winners look at their mentors and recognize that their mentors are doing this because they have a passion for it, and they've chosen you to work with because you have a passion. And you're going to, over some time, culture, nurture, and grow and mature your interests. And someday you're going to be sitting here with your students at some capacity, whether it's as a faculty member, whether it's just as a mentor in general, and you're going to be looking at them being very, very proud. And so I want to thank the students, the mentors, family for putting up with probably endless hours of conversation about things that you probably don't know a whole lot about and maybe not even really interested in. My daughter's doing this, and so I have to put up with a lot of stuff. But you have nurtured and encouraged your students, your children, to move forward in their careers. So I thank you all, and I'd also like to thank the Calverts. I have met them, delightful individuals, and very generous in their contributions to support this award. So thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Karl. And now I'm going to introduce the person who's going to actually introduce the real stars of the show, which are the students. Melissa Bowles-Terry, who is our head of our educational initiatives here in the library. For those of you who don't know, we have a very large staff of library faculty who work as liaisons to academic departments and colleges, and who work in our teaching and learning department. And we not only partner with faculty on course and assignment design, but we help to support the concept of research-based learning that begins in a first year and is a developmental process that extends throughout the career of the student all the way through the exit. And in part, that's why this award focuses not just on those fabulous students in the Honors College with their honors theses, although, Marta, we see them every year, but also acknowledges and supports those students who demonstrate excellence in the early stages of their career, because it's not just about the person who's in the field or in the laboratory in a one-on-one mentoring situation. It all starts somewhere else earlier on in a class where a faculty member embeds a research-based component into that curriculum through some very creative assignment, and the student takes it and does something more with it and builds on it throughout their academic career here. So with all of that said, Melissa Bowles-Terry, come and introduce us to our winning students.
Thank you so much, Dean Iannuzzi and Dr. Chase and Dr. Reiber, for acknowledging the importance of undergraduate education. It is so exciting to be here to celebrate undergraduate research together. This is my favorite night of the year, and it's so great to have three very impressive winners that we're going to recognize tonight. As mentioned, we recognize that it takes a village to raise a researcher. It takes instructors, faculty mentors, library faculty and staff who've done so much to support these researchers, and family and friends. Thank you so much for being here and for your part that you've played in getting these winners to this point. I'd like to take just a moment to thank the award committee members who managed the promotion and the application process for this award. Kate Wintrell, Roseanne Matola, and Andrea Worth all played a really important role in making this all happen. And I would also like to thank the students, librarians, and faculty who volunteered as judges. You'll see a list of judges on the back of your program. And I have to say that the turnaround time between the submission deadline for students and announcing a winner is really short, about 5 days. So the judges make a big commitment to read some very involved projects, not necessarily from their disciplines, and evaluate them based on our shared criteria. And they do a wonderful job, and we really appreciate our judges. I'd like to give them a hand. Thank you so much, and thanks for coming tonight. I see many of our judges here. So tonight is all about the students, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from them about their research. This year we had very high quality applications from departments across campus, and it's my pleasure to introduce our winners. I'm going to invite each of them to come to the front to receive their awards, and they'll all say a few words about what they've learned in the course of their research after I introduce them. So we're going to start with Ryan Francis, who's the emerging scholar we're recognizing tonight. He's a junior at UNLV. He's studying psychology, and he's receiving the Calvert Undergraduate Research Award for his paper, An Integrative Neurological Model for Basic Observable Human Behavior. So this paper explores the big question, what are the neurological mechanisms that drive human behavior? Big question, right? Ryan used library resources to read broadly on the topic, and he commented on the time-consuming process of critically reading and assessing scientific literature. The judges for the Calvert Award commented on the ambitious nature of this research project. One of my colleagues commented that Ryan was really swinging for the fences with this topic, and he hit a home run, if we are to follow that metaphor. Ryan's instructor, Autumn Widows, wrote a letter supporting his submission, and she commented on the sophistication of his research and the strong foundation he's laying for further study. He used a really impressive array of sources to inform the work and integrated original research produced with Dr. James Hyman and other undergraduate research assistants. And Ryan plans to use his research skills to pursue an MD, PhD in neuroscience after he graduates from UNLV. So Ryan, please come on up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Francis. So, talking about my research, what's always interested me as an undergrad was a neuron. It's this basic, fundamental building block behind aspects of the human experience. And something I really wanted to do with this understanding, is to create a model for it. Now, this may be a hypothetical model or a suggestion based on current research, but I felt it was worth my time as an undergrad to pursue such a thing. The problem was, I didn't really have the tools. However, working with Dr. Hyman in his lab really showed me how to critically read research. So I had the tools to be able to read, thanks to Dr. Hyman. Moving on, I had to be able to pull up research. I had to be able to find it. And doing so required the UNLV research database, which is amazing. I was able to pull up ridiculous amounts of information very quickly. And frankly, I had too much, so I had to read through everything and then sort it out and sit down. And that was an incredible journey. I learned so much so quickly. So what's really important about that is that learning the information is one thing, but knowing where you got it from and how that was even ascertained is extremely important. So I had the ability to actually do the research, and I had the tools to actually read it. But I didn't have a cause yet. And thanks to Autumn Widows and her amazing instruction abilities with English and all the things I learned about literary guidance, I was able to start working on this project. So I looked through the neuroscience literature of perception, and I wanted to understand the five basic senses and see how all that worked together. Following that, I wanted to visit emotion a little bit. Following that, I wanted to do learning and memory. And following that, I wanted to focus on decision-making that we had learned ourselves in the lab. So without going too far into detail with the model, I just want to briefly explain it. So first, you have to perceive a stimulus. That's your outside environment. You need to be able to know what's going on. Further than that, you need to actually emotionally appraise this stimulus while also pull up relevant information about it at the same time. Weighing these inputs against each other, you must then come up with an appropriate response, and following that, the consequences of your behavior then need to be re-perceived, and so this cycle would continue. Now, none of this is possible at all without UNLV's research database. It is profoundly important, in my opinion, to all researchers, as well as myself. And further, without the amazing instruction abilities of Miss Autumn Widows, Dr. Hyman, and this award by Elena and Lance Calvert, none of this would have been possible. And further, thanks to my family for supporting me, all the coffee, and all the love. I really appreciate it all. Thank you, everyone.
All right. We are awarding the creative work of Alexis Rodriguez tonight. Her project on graphic design for the Shark Reef Aquarium won in our category of creative work. And we have a category for this because we know that students who engage in design, performance, and art are involved in a research process to inform and enrich their work, just as those who do more traditional academic work are. So Alexis is a junior in graphic design. She is also a student worker here in the libraries, so we're a little extra proud of her. Alexis's research process involved using library resources to learn about aquarium visitor demographics and behavior, as well as learn about the design program in design. Alexis's graphic design instructor, Val Leonard, said in the letter of support that over the course of the project, Alexis learned how critical the research process is for each and every project that visual communicators do. Alexis made her essay topic her own, and it showed professionalism and sophistication. The judges for the award found Alexis's design so effective that at least one was convinced to plan a trip to the Shark Reef Aquarium. So mission accomplished, well done. And Alexis, please come up and tell us a bit about your process.
Hi. So when they said I had to speak, I was a little bit nervous, but in my speech class I did get an A, so I'm pretty sure I'm qualified to do this. Okay, but my name is Alexis, and I did do a booklet on the Shark Reef Aquarium, which I did print out a couple copies here. If afterward, maybe if anyone wanted to look through them, I'll see if I can place them somewhere in the back. But this was a project for my Graphic Design 2 class for my instructor, Val, and we were supposed to design a booklet for the Shark Reef Aquarium to convince the audience or the viewer to see if they wanted to visit the Shark Reef Aquarium. So I thought this would be a good project to do. I looked at the requirements for the Calvert Award, and I looked at the due date, and I said, okay, I got this. And what I read the due date was April 31st. But shortly after, I learned that April 31st does not, in fact, exist. The due date was April 21st, and I had to tell my instructor, Val, I had to go up to him in person, and I had to say, I'm so sorry, Val, but April 31st doesn't exist. It's actually due on the 21st. But I still had enough time to get everything done, and I'm standing up here tonight, so that is a good sign. And but to design, I wanted to share this quote by Paul Rand. He is a designer of the ABC logo, the IBM logo, and the UPS logo. And he said, design is simple, and that's why it's so complicated. And if you think about that for a second, it might not make sense at first, but it does make sense because the designer's job is to design an effective design that allows or that functions the way that, or everything should have a function in graphic design, so there shouldn't be too many bells and whistles involved. And even coming up with ideas that may seem simple on the finished product actually take quite a bit of research and quite a bit of work, which I'm going to show you just real quick in this little booklet that I did. I know you can't see it from afar, but on the first page I did the introduction, so people know what the Shark Reef Aquarium is and exactly what it's all about. So there's a mission statement there. The second page holds information about their environment and green program. This was because in my research I found out that audiences who go to aquariums and zoos actually kind of expect these places to be environmentally friendly, to promote the environment, to leave the audience wanting to help the environment more. So I thought that that would be a good addition. And a list of endangered and threatened species you can see at the Shark Reef. I've included these little cutout aquatic animals on each page because I learned in my research that viewers are more likely to go to the aquariums or zoos if they see familiar animals that they might like to go visit. And also that they expect these places to be in educational settings, so you would want to learn something when you go visit these places. So I included some information right here on this page about a little bit about some of the animals that are in the Shark Reef. and then hoping that that would be enough to catch your attention and that would make you want to go, I included the exhibits, what else you can see there, and then the important stuff about the place, the contact info hours, the tickets, and all that stuff. So it took a lot of research and a lot of time. It was a very conscious design. People may mistake designers at first for being people or artists who only create aesthetically pleasing design, but that is certainly not true. And I'm so grateful that Val, my instructor, that he helped me with this project and gave me a lot of good critique on it. And I'm so grateful for that class and for all I've learned from him and how much of an inspiration he's been to me over this past semester. And that now my perspective on design has changed a little bit more, and I think I'm really learning a lot in his classes. And I'm also grateful for all my classmates, and we just have a really good time designing these things. We have fun, but we also take our work very seriously, and we're all very passionate about what we do. So I'm grateful for them. I'd like to thank the library and Lance and Elena Calvert for hosting this award, and also for my friends for showing up, and for all you wonderful people who showed up.
Okay, wonderful. So finally, we are awarding Daniel Wakar for his senior honors thesis, Modern Conflict in the Divided City, A History of Violence and Power in Hebron, the Israeli-occupied West Bank. For this study, Daniel identified a real gap in the literature on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And in his thesis, he analyzed and coded a huge collection of documents from various sources, including peace accords from the 1990s and 2000s, and specifically weekly reports on violence in Hebron from the UN Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Judges for the award agreed that this work was on par with that of graduate students. Daniel's faculty sponsor, Dr. John Curry, also noted that the senior honors thesis rises to the level of master's degree work, and we were just all very impressed with the thesis. The project is based on research that Daniel completed while he was doing a study abroad program in Israel. And what's really amazing about this is that he not only identified a unique research question, which doesn't always happen for undergraduate researchers, but he also uncovered new statistical information, new sources on the layers of complexity that drive the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So this is very timely, very interesting work. I'll also note that Daniel is a Truman Scholar, and this month he is moving to Washington, D.C. for a research position at the Brookings Institute. So we are really, really proud to call him a UNLV alum next week, right? And very excited to hear more about the project. So Daniel.
You know, I'm scheduled to give the commencement speech in front of 8,000 or 9,000 people next week, so speaking to a room of 30 people doesn't seem so intimidating anymore. I think there was a good quote earlier that said that it takes a village to raise a researcher, and there are so many different resources that intersected so well throughout my 4 years at UNLV. From study abroad, the money that the scholarships that helped me pay for my time in Israel, to my two faculty advisors from the history department, Dr. John Curry and Dr. Michael Allred, the UNLV librarians who I worked with, Dr. Kate Wintrall and Priscilla Finley, and my other advisor in the Honors College, Dr. Andrew Hansen, all helped out tremendously, and this intersected so well to create this unique project that allowed me to understand what I had seen in Israel and what I had seen in the occupied West Bank, and how to bring that home and process that in a meaningful way for people back here and to create a sort of useful research project. One quote that I really like is that research is a journey and not a destination. And when I studied abroad in Israel, I sort of happened upon visiting this town, Hebron. It's the largest town in the occupied West Bank, and it's where the prophet Abraham is buried, but I was surprised that I'd never heard about it, or I'd heard about it very rarely in any of my history classes and any of my study on the conflict. And my visit there sort of stuck in my head for a lot of reasons. You know, this is a place where there had been a lot of massacres, a lot of violent incidents, a lot of tensions between the Israeli settlers who lived there, the couple hundred, and the 250,000 Palestinians who lived there. And these questions sort of stayed in my head after I left and when I returned back to my dorm in Haifa, and I never stopped thinking about them. And as soon as I came back to the US for the Truman Scholarship orientation, I talked with Dr. Hansen about this, and I want to turn this into a longer project. And when I met with my faculty mentor, Dr. Curry, we sort of found a way to turn this into a project. And ever since then, for nearly every day for the past 12 months, I've been thinking about this or writing about it or reading about it in some way. That initial visit, that study abroad visit, turned into a 12-month research project. And it showed me that this really is a journey. I've learned so much by staying down and looking at these research reports, thumbing through UNLV library databases. And it sparked what I hope will be a lifetime of research on peace and conflict studies. There's a lot of cynicism that exists about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's an intractable conflict. It's existed for over 67 years. And some of that cynicism is rightly due. But when you research it, you can find some of the answers to some of the questions that really plague this conflict. And I hope that my research contributes to answering some of these questions and helps to make this world a more peaceful place. So thank you all very much. Thanks to Lance and Elena Calvert. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Aren't these students so impressive? Let's give them another hand. Great. Well, thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight. Many thanks to the Calverts for endowing this award. Thanks to all of our library board members who make this and other things possible. And we hope that you will all take this opportunity to congratulate the winners, have some more food, enjoy the reception. And before you do that, I actually need the winners to come back up to the front for a photo. But everybody else can start getting food. So thanks so much, everyone.